Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of the UK Connection. Happy Saturday, everybody. Or maybe it's Sunday where you are, or maybe you're in a weird place in the world where it might still be Friday. That is possible, right? I guess. I don't know. Geography is a strange thing, ladies and gentlemen. So let me introduce my co-host, as always, Mr. Simon Bray and Mr. Steven Reid from the UK. What's up, guys?
David Lee Roth is up. That's what's up.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Yeah, that's a switch.
I discovered a few months ago all these old posters that were in my bedroom when I was, however many years ago this came out, minus off my age now, too much maths for this time of day. And so there's a pile of them over here now that every now and again I go, oh, forgot I had that.
I think what you should do is you should not announce it and wait till some viewers realize that there's a new poster behind there. So every couple of weeks, you should throw a new one up. We don't say anything. Just like Simon is always in a different spot in this house. We don't usually comment on that. We wait for the viewers to see if they're paying attention, So one of these days, I'm gonna go out by the pool and do one of our shows and see if anybody notices. They probably won't.
I don't usually announce it, but today Dave is like, I didn't realize how close to my head he was going to be. He's quite off-putting.
He looks like on your shoulder, like Kermit is on mine.
Yeah.
Hello, Davey.
At any minute, he is going to fall off of that rock and grab a hold of your hair. And
well, there's not much to hold on to.
I guess he's done for it, I guess.
That's not going to happen. He's going straight down.
He's going straight down.
Just like his career after this album. No, anyway, let's move on.
So before we get into our favorite and least favorite albums from the mighty journey today, we've got a little bit of business to take care of, and Simon always kicks us off with the beverage choice of the day. Simon, what do you
got? Part of the reason that I was late tonight, I was trying to find my beer.
Ooh.
I definitely have a beer that was planted. I had no idea what it was because I just go around buying beer thinking that'll do for Saturday night, and I can't find it. Somebody stole my beer, and nobody else lives here except Mrs. Simon, and she doesn't drink beer. So I've gone back to the old faithful. I've got a Jorvik Blonde all the way from York. Yeah. I know it's nice because I've had it before, and I've already poured some into the Goblet of Destiny, and I'm very much looking forward to this. So, yay.
Nice.
Lovely. Yeah. Nice indeed. Well, yeah, I've gone blonde as well. I usually like to savour a dark beer, but I'm back at the Culloch Brewery, which is a mere few miles from my house in Perth, with their Sunny Side Up. Now, this is a Bohemian style Pilsner. And I had to look that up to be on the safe side because it doesn't tell you that anywhere on it. It doesn't. It's just got the name and the dog, which is the brewery dog, I believe. And that is it. That's all it says. So it is very hoppy. It's got Saz hops in it, SAAZ, and Citra. And man, oh man, can you smell them from it? Because it looks just like this. It smells divine.
I would think with that tin, I'm going to try and use the correct term based on how you guys say it, that would be like some kind of Pilsner or lager. I'd be quite shocked if you opened that up and it was like a Imperial Stout or something like that with all the bright yellow and Well, we're all kind of like on the same page today. And I know we didn't set it up this way, but I am drinking an amazing from the Newburgh Brewery, and maize meaning corn. So this is a light corn lager made by the Newburgh Brewery for Hudson Taco, which is a very popular taco establishment right on the Hudson River locally here. And they brew it specifically for them. You can only get this beer at the restaurant or at the Newburgh Brewery. You can't get it anywhere else. It's not on tap anywhere else. 4.5% says goes well with tacos. I wouldn't know because I never ate there, so who the hell knows? I will say it's a pretty good, clean drinking beer, and I've got it in my brand new Harpoon Brewery glass, which I just got in Boston last week. And to real, I've had this before, so really good. Cheers, guys.
That is very clear and almost looks like a cider. Cheers.
Yeah, it's a really light lager, very easy drinking, good little flavor. It's not surprising that they brewed this for a Mexican style restaurant, because this is the type of it's modern, it's molded after like a traditional like Mexican lager. So very light, goes well with like foods that are spicy, citrusy, that sort of thing. So good stuff. Clean beer.
Can we see the tin again, please, Peter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it immediately reminded me of the Blackjack album cover from many moons ago. Just with that, I know that's meant. I think it's a cigarette packet that album cover is. It's just the colours and everything just took me there. That's all. There you go.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Very nice. It's
yeah,
cool.
They have some nice,
like
nice cans. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it.
So, all right. So, the theme of the day is favorite and least favorite albums. We've been doing so much AOR melodic rock of late, and one day after we were done taping, we're like, well, why don't we just do Journey at some point? Because most of these bands that we talk about when we do the melodic rock theme kind of pattern themselves after Journey, and we've done some of the Journey offshoot bands, and we figured we needed another band to do the favorite and least favorite thing. So we said, why don't we do Journey? So here we are. We've each picked out 2 favorites, 2 least favorites, and a wild card. Maybe Simon threw that out the window because he usually does. Anyway, I can see by his snicker that that's probably the case. So, yeah, I guess we should get started, right? I turn it over to Simon.
Oh, thank you. I am genuinely excited by this. I've really enjoyed going back through Journey's catalogue, because one of those bands where I've got all their albums and I virtually never listen to them. And I like them, which is really, because, I don't have as many CDs as you do, Pete. I couldn't do 5 parts on it, but I could do a couple of parts on it. And you lose track, don't you, of what you like. And so I've really enjoyed going back through this, and I'm really interested to know what you chaps think, because I reckon there might be some difference. Because obviously I did the whole watch what Peter's done before about Journey, and
I did
like
not. I've been trying not to, because I'm like, I want to go in with a fresh mind and not just ape what I did 2 or 3 years ago. So I did not watch that episode. And
things change over time.
You'll have to let me know, since you just watched it. You'll have to let me know if I'm at all in line with that.
Your tastes and where you are in life, things change over time, especially during the favourites and least favourites. Because I'm very confident that I'm not choosing the best, because I'm not choosing any of the real classics. But my favourite Journey album, by a very, very long way, already, kids. So I know it's not yours, Peter. It wasn't previously. It's Raised on Radio. I love this record. I wholeheartedly love this record. I love everything about it. It's just such a good. It's a pop record. Let's be brutally honest. It's really a pop record, isn't it? And we all know that Simon likes the melody, don't we? And I do. And it's just such a concise record.
It is.
It could have been almost could have been a bit. Thank you. Almost could have been a bit like Thriller. They could have gone 6 or 7 singles deep. They may well have done in America. I don't know.
At least 4. It was at least 4. Yeah. Okay. That was a good guess.
We'll top 20 hits.
Yeah.
Where I come from with Journey is I missed Escape and all the early ones initially. Because let's be honest, Journey never that big in the UK, have they?
Yeah, huge here.
I would guess that they're bigger now than they ever were before. They're playing bigger venues. Admittedly, they always bring a really good bill, so there's usually 2 other kind of bands that would fill decent sized venues here. But I'd say they're a bigger draw now than they've ever been previously.
So I think I first found the hits, none of which I ever need to listen to again at the moment, but more of that later. But this was I think the first one that I bought. It's on vinyl, so I bought it fairly shortly after. It's got just so many great songs. So many great songs. I can even live with Raised on Radio song itself being a list song. I hate list songs. Really, Yeah, I'm looking at you, Billy Joel. Not loving that one. But just so many great songs. I'll Be All Right Without You. Be Good to Yourself. The opening sequence of Be Good to Yourself. No matter how often I hear it, just makes me just go, yes. This is so good, really is. And I think this is where you can really see where Steve Perry, he likes Sam Cooke, doesn't he? Yes, Yes, he does. And this is the one where, obviously he binned off Ross Valer and Stephen Smith, didn't it? And this is the one where he took major league control because he just had the hits, hasn't he, from his solo career. He just went, this is what you need, fellas. And I can appreciate that some people won't like this because this is a million miles away from the initial Journey stuff, isn't it?
Sure.
Million miles away. And it's not as, for want of a better word, it's certainly not as tough or as rocking as the latter period Raleigh albums or even Escape. It's just really, really good melodic pop record with some great, great tunes on it. And yes, it does sound like it was made when it was made, but to me, that sounds great. I have played this every day for the last month. I don't know if I've been cleansing my palate because I've really enjoyed listening to Journey. But this is by far my favourite by a very, very long way. I'll happily concede it's probably not their best, but that's not what we're doing, is it?
Nope.
So that's my first choice. Also, spent ages trying to dig this vinyl copy out, and really pleased with myself when I actually did find it. So yay! I like latter period Journey, most of it. More of that later. But I really like. I really like Much of a Rival, but that's not my choice. I really, really like Revelation. Like as we said previously, like every other melodic rock band of the past 20 years, or whenever it stopped selling, Journey tried their very best on this to sound like Journey.
And it does.
It really, really does. Never walk away. Holy cow. Tune, as the young people would say.
I think you'll find it banger. Is it not banger? No.
Banging. It's an absolutely banging tune.
Banging.
I think it was on a classic rock magazine. Not spoiler. What did they call them, Stephen? Giveaway CD thing.
A cover mount CD.
Thank you. And I must have worn that out because that's just this is absolutely one of my favorite songs. And like Raised on Radio, they don't go off, wanking themselves silly with guitar solos and stuff like that. There's quite a lot of, again, really concise tunes on it. Where Did I Lose Your Love? Fantastic. Faith in the Heartland, so good. They did it twice.
Yep.
Oh, this was the second time, wasn't it? Arnell's great on it. This is just a really, really good example of melodic rock. When was it? 10, 12 years ago. I can even cope with the Kevin Shirley production, which normally makes me just want to wrench my ears off. Just a very, very classy record. Really good. And you can think it was a big hit, wasn't it? I think big hit-ish. I think it reached 5 in Billboard, and something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it did well in an era where nobody buys physical product, right? But yeah,
exactly.
But it was everywhere. It was in all the stores. I think that was a Walmart exclusive, I think, here in the States, if I remember correctly, at least for a while. So yeah, I mean, there was a lot of hubbubaloo about it, which was good, right? I mean, it's good to see.
Yeah, just again,
the charts by then would have been taken in streams and things as well, though. So there is competition out there.
Yeah.
I would guess. I don't know. Somebody may correct me on that.
There's some really, really good, solid tunes. And if you stopped after Trial by Fire, then mistake, because there's some really good stuff in the latter period of Journey, and there's something I'm going to mention later that I'm not that keen on. But
100%.
My two favorites.
I totally agree with you. I don't know. I know so many people like to do the whole no Steve Perry, no Journey thing. Man, you're missing out if that's you. I mean, God, there's just some really, really great music that's in the spirit of classic Journey that's been released since he left the band. I get really frustrated when people just refuse to listen to a band after like a major member left, even though they're still making music that's in the spirit of everything they've always done, which I believe that's what Journey keeps doing. Forget all the nonsense, everything that's going on with them nowadays, they fighting and all, that's all bullshit. But as far as the music goes, it all still sounds like Journey. That's the important thing. Anyway, off my soapbox.
Well, funnily enough, my favourite Journey record is Raised on Radio. There we go. Album number 9, 1986. Went double platinum in the States. Yes, there was 4 top 20 hit singles off this album. And yes, by this stage, well, technically, they're a 3-piece. Technically.
Yeah.
Do you know, that's the way they're doing it. And they're doing my pet hate that I spoke about just on the last show, where they're naming every musician on all the songs because we're pretending we're not a band now and all this kind of stuff. It's never really been a favourite thing of mine. I hate it when that kind of stuff happens. Anyway, neither here nor there. Yeah, I mean, Simon has already covered so much of what's going on here. It is pop bliss or AOR bliss. There's a little bit of soul involved. There's some understated guitar work. Neil Sean is really prevalent throughout this entire catalogue. There's not an album, good, bad, or indifferent, where he doesn't turn in at least something that makes you go, oh, wow, do you know, why do people not talk about this guy more than they do? And they still talk about him a fair bit, and he still deserves a little bit more than that. But yeah, you've got Girl Can't Help It. I mean, that's how to get things underway. You've got Suzanne. It's really energetic. There's a really good feel about this album. And yes, Mr. Perry was definitely in control here. He produces the album. His vocals are outstanding on it. That's one of the draws for me here. His singing on this album, I think, is as good as anything else he sang on. He sounds like he believes every single second of it. And that's not to suggest that he didn't previously, because man, can he sell a song? You know, he really does. He has a character and an emotion. He takes you into the story, and they tend to be stories that are on the go. But be good to yourself. It's just phenomenal. Yeah. You get mega ballads like Why Can't This Night Go On Forever? It is covering all the bases. I think that the keyboards are great on the album. I think the guitars are great on the album. I think the sound is great on the album. Yeah, Steve Perry produces it, but you've got the dream team. You've got Bob Clearmountain mixing it. You've got Bob Ludwig mastering it. I mean, that's A-class, isn't it? Really, it doesn't get much better than that. And I think that it makes the whole thing sound just out of this world. I really do. I think it's a tremendous album. I can understand why the Journey purist, wherever they fall, probably prior to this album, might turn their nose up a little bit at it, because it doesn't quite have the power that was there before. It certainly doesn't have any of the kind of early fireworks that were there. It's doing something a little bit more different. It's a little bit more blatant, I would suggest. Yeah. But when it's done as blatantly well as this, well, I can take that. So yeah, Raised on Radio, it's not my favourite by maybe the massive distance that Simon says it is for him, but it is my favourite, and it has been for quite some time. And yeah, I really enjoy this process, because I do, like Simon, I sit down and I go from the start of the catalogue and listen all the way through, partly because I don't do that very often for many bands, because who has the time? So this is great because it makes you have the time. I've enjoyed so much of this, and still this album is an absolute winner for me. Okay, so my second choice, I'm just going album before. And I try not to do this. I try not to say, well, this is my era of the band, because it's not really. I don't have an era with Journey. I like what they're doing now. I like most of what they were doing early on. Depends how early we want to go here. We may cover some of that. This is the last album that's got that Perry, Sean, Kane, Valerie, Smith lineup before it all fractured. Side 1 is just outstanding here. Separate Ways, Send Her My Love, Chain Reaction, After the Fall, Faithfully. It's just phenomenal. It really is. But then, I mean, Edge of the Blade on side 2, phenomenal. I mean, you listen to side 1 and you think, yeah, they've probably spent it here now, haven't they? They've probably got Edge of the Blade comes on for side 2. You're like, oh no, there's more. It's just such a good song. But I like all of this. I really do. I just think that it's a great album. Same again, it's really balanced. It's maybe a bit light compared to what's come before in certain kind of ways of looking at it. The back covers to die for. It's ridiculous. It's just so good. Do you know, kind of harks right away back to album number 1 as well, in certain ways, I suppose, with the artwork. It's never really thought much until there. But yeah, Frontiers, I really like it. It's funny how probably the major AOR label out there clearly took inspiration from this as well for these days. So it has been influential in wider circles too, in that way. But yeah, album 8, and I like album 9 even better. It's funny how I didn't realise I was going to do that. I didn't realise I was going to go back to back with my favourite 2. But once I realised that this was in my top 2, it was always going to happen that way. So yeah, Raised on Radio and Frontiers will go down as my favourites. I'll go with Simon. Are they the best? I don't really know. Depends what mood you're in. Depends what you're looking for. Depends what your taste is. Because there are lots of options for best. They're my favourites.
Yeah, there's a reason that Frontiers sold a gazillion copies, right? I mean, it's a damn good album. So this is going to be one of those interesting exercises where the first like album or 2 or 3 that I first listened to and got into for this band, ironically, are not my 2 favorites. Go figure, right? Because generally speaking, that's usually how I operate in many cases, not in all cases. So again, I didn't watch my ranking from a couple of years ago. I kind of think I know where I lied on there, but I'm not 100% sure. But I will say I listen to this band still a lot. I find I listen to Journey fairly regularly. They're probably my favorite band that plays this style of music. And I have just always liked them. And there's never a time in my life where I'm not listening to them fairly regularly. Not every week, obviously, but you know, every once a month, I'm kind of like, I want to hear a Journey album, and I'll go find one, and I'll work out the gym to it or whatever, or drive it in the car, whatever it might be. So my favorite, though, has been my favorite. I'm almost 100% positive this was my favorite when I did the ranking show. This has been my favorite Journey album for well over a decade now, I think. And I think the reason why I like it so much is because it's the perfect bridge to their early stuff and then the really big stuff, which everybody likes and loves, and that's Infinity. This is a terrific album. To me, this is an all-time classic. There are great perennial Journey favorites on here, like Lights, Feeling That Way. I mean, just right off the bat, Lights, Feeling That Way, Anytime, La Doo Da, and Patiently, and then Wheel in the Sky. And that, I mean, right off the bat, boom, 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 boom. And it doesn't end there. Something to Hide, one of my favorite Steve Perry vocal performances of all time. And I really like Journey when you had both Perry and Raleigh in the band at the same time doing the trade-off vocals. I absolutely love those 2 guys together. Winds of March is one of my favorite Journey songs. It's kind of proggy, haunting, dramatic, love it. Can Do and Open the Door finish out the album, but I absolutely adore this album. Roy Thomas Baker production. It's heavy, it's progressive, it's poppy, it's a little fusiony. It's got like a little bit of everything that Journey does so well, and a great performance by Steve Perry. So that is my favorite. Was I on point, Simon? Was that my number 1?
On point.
Okay.
On point.
Number 2, I'm not quite sure, but I'm going with this one because I have probably listened to this one more than any other Journey album in recent years. And I'm amazed that I was not hip to this back in the day. I didn't start listening to this album until probably late 80s or early 90s. And that's the first album. So it's ironic that Steven was talking about the back of Frontiers with them floating around. Well, there they are, floating around, right? This is a ferocious album. And, you know, I love Greg and Neil in Santana. Them leaving Santana and forming this band and this album being the result of it. It's the perfect kind of equation, or the perfect evolution, I should say, after that last album they did with Santana. I mean, there's some great rock on here. There's some fusion on here. There's some prog on here. There's that whole Latin rock thing carried over from Santana. Of a Lifetime is an incredible song. I mean, Neil Schon is on fire on this album. Kahautek is great. There's some great instrumentals. Topaz, Mystery Mountain is terrific. I love the daring little instrumental bits. You know, this really is, they dabbled a little bit in this over the next 2 albums, but really, they never really did much like this other than that soundtrack album that they did. They never really did an album like this ever again, and I kind of wish they did. I find this absolutely amazing. But again, I love fusion music. I love prog, so it's not surprising that I really dig this a lot. But it's totally different, right? Got, like I said, half its instrumentals. Raleigh's vocals are great. The guitar work is off the charts. It's different Journey, but I love it. So that's my number 2. Was that my number 2, Simon?
I wasn't making notes.
Okay.
Well, to remember 2.
Let's be honest. I was really looking. What, you know? Does he think what I like? Shit. That's
I
really.
bet you
what it is.
remember my bottom one or two, though. I bet you remember that.
And you were very middling on Raised on Radio as well.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Oh, okay.
That makes sense. Okay, but those are my two favorites. I love these two albums. I love most of the Journey albums. I honestly, other than maybe one album, I don't think they ever really made a stinker. And I will echo Simon once again that I think the latter part of the catalog is really, really strong, and I'll talk a little bit about that towards the end. So anyway, back to Simon.
Yeah, I really should understand the format by now, but what are we doing now?
Least favorite.
Least favorite.
Two favorite.
two-
Fantastic. Excellent. Good. I don't think there's a complete and utter turkey in the catalogue, but you've got to choose, and I like to choose, as you know. I can't get my shit together with all of Generations. Just saying. I'm really looking at you, Gone Crazy, and other songs not sung by Steve Ojeri. No, I realize he was having problems, but no, Ross Valley should never sing lead vocals, ever. Should have got me in, and I can't sing. There's some really good stuff on this. Faith in the Heartland, so good. Yeah, okay. It starts off brilliantly. Up the first four, really, really great. You think, God, she's going to be good. And then suddenly halfway through, you think, oh, this has gone a bit weird. Yeah, just no. What's going on? No, Neil's singing. Oh shit, that's no, definitely not. It's too long, and I think a few of their latter period albums would be absolutely great. I mean, genuinely great if you just chopped a couple off songs.
Yeah, they're all really long albums here.
Yeah, they are, and you can tell them one or two ways because they're consummate musicians, great songwriters. But you could think just because you can fill 80 minutes, don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's not a criticism just of Journey. That's something that we say practically every week, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not a complete clunker, absolutely not. And I also like to share a bit of hatred for Revelation. Yes, that's right. Because on Revelation, they also did a bonus disc, didn't they? Of really lumpen, leaden, just what's the point other than to get it into Walmart versions of the Dirty Dozen, didn't they?
Yeah.
I listened to it when I bought it. I've listened to it this week. I am 100% confident that I will always choose the Perry versions of the classics.
And they're fine. And when you go see them live, they do them great. But yeah, there's really no need for that. There was no need.
Yeah. And the versions are fine, but just somebody could probably knock them out equally competently in the Arden and Accrington this weekend. It's just there's just nothing special about them other than to say, oh, look, you buy this and you get the greatest hits as well, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's just a little bit cynical for your Uncle Simon.
Yeah, they would have been better off throwing in a little live album if I would have heard.
Yeah, 100% see why they did it, but just bye. You're never coming out again. Just get in your jewel case and off you go. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I said that I listened to the entire discography in the build up to this show. I did not listen to that disc. It did not come out. I don't know the last time that it did, and I've no intention of ever again. I would guess it was one of those, it's on the shelves in the supermarket kind of thing, or whatever you want to call it. So let's put the greatest hits on there. Is it also one of these kind of licensing things where they would hope that people would use those versions rather than the original versions? I don't know if that ever works for a band. Does that ever work for a band? Do you ever hear those new versions on the radio or an advert or whatever it may be? No, you don't. I don't understand. Anyway, different topic.
There's no point in it. I don't know why so many bands do it.
Yeah, just don't do it. Don't do it. See, this was difficult. This was really difficult. I don't dislike anything in this catalogue. There are styles that I prefer over others, hence why I'm going to call this my least favourite. This is looking at the future. This is album number 2 from 1976, and yes, we're in a different world completely from what was about to come. I don't mind the debut. I think the debut's tight. It's become a running joke in the group chat for In the Prog Seat that me and Jazz Fusion would appear to be quite far apart. You know, I mean, if Jazz Fusion is sitting over here, I'm usually driving quite quickly in the other direction. Not always, there are exceptions, okay? But I think that Journey, the album, and Next have got enough kind of, the playing's phenomenal, the arrangements are really tight, they kind of carry me through. I put them on and kind of go, well, these are better than I thought. This is more the sort of thing that I would listen to than I ever kind of remember it being. I connect zero with Santana. Sorry if you're a Santana fan. I just don't get it. It's just not for me. Any era of his stuff. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, I don't hate it, but I'm never going to go and buy it or feel the need to go and listen to it. Do you know? But this has just got very little to pull me back into it. I feel it's the weakest of those kind of first three albums that were them kind of following that Santana path before they evolved and under their own kind of idea. I mean, Sean on these three albums and this one, he's outstanding. It's phenomenal. I can't argue with the level of musicianship. All I can just say is that it's not aimed at somebody with my personal tastes. So yeah, Look Into the Future is really the only album out of the whole catalogue that I can kind of look at and kind of go, yeah, I don't really, really, really desperately need to hear that ever again. Now, I know that for my second choice, conventional wisdom will tell you it's this. It's just too long. This is Trial by Fire. It's just too long, in my humble opinion. They're trying something different. It's a bit out there. It's a bit wacky compared to some Journey stuff. It's not this. I got on at Uncle Simon for cheating. I have kind of cheated a little bit. It's a Journey release. It's got their name on the front. It's not an album. It's Red 13. Okay, so this was their only ever kind of full EP of new stuff. Came out in 2002. And it was initially meant to be some kind of thank you to the fans. It was initially only available through their website. And I think at some live shows, it's the Steve O'Gerry era. I like Arrival, Generations. It has its moments. This is odd. I mean, I know it's a kind of 4-track EP, so they can dare to do something different. It doesn't know if it's hard rock. It doesn't know if it's AOR. It's slightly progressive. It's even a little bit experimental in places. It's just not very good, and it doesn't sound particularly well put together. And it's these sort of releases that I think people maybe caught a little bit of and think, you know, see, without that Perry guy, they're nothing. I don't think that releases like this really helped them in any way. I mean, the first song, which is Intro Red 13 / State of Grace, there's 5 songs on the back, but you put it in the player and it says there's 4. I mean, it's just an excuse for Neil Sean to fanny about a little bit. It's atmospheric and it's okay. It doesn't go anywhere though. The time is just a below par Journey mid-tempo rocker. Walking Away from the Edge is just, it's maybe the most uninspired kind of by the numbers ballad that the band have recorded at any point. And bizarrely, it's a co-write between Kane, Sean, Andre Perez, or Pessis, excuse me, and Jeff Tate, Queensryche. How did Jeff get in the room? But anyway, and then you've got I Can Breathe, which closes the thing out. And actually, if you're looking for a hard rock and blues number that's maybe got Glenn Hughes on vocals, because that's what it sounds like, it's the standout track on this, but it's odd. So yeah, it is a little bit of cheating. I kind of get that because it's not a full album, but this is the one that really makes me raise my eyebrows. I know what the first 3 albums are about. I understand the kind of history and why it happened. I put this on and just go, they could just have decided not to bother with this. And it has got a re-release. This was the original version, the fan version. It has got a re-release with a different cover, and I think maybe more tracks, depends where you see and what you look. I've never held one, so I don't know. But I've listened to the tracks online that says they're on the other version, and they're better than any of these. So I maybe got the wrong version of it. But yeah, Red 13 is actually probably the only thing in the whole catalogue that I think I could probably just live without this.
That's a good choice. I didn't even think about that one. Yeah, it's got its moments, but yeah, this was hard. The bottom 2 were hard for me. The bottom 1 was not hard. I have long stated that this is my least favorite Journey album. I never listened to this one. It's too long. It's too light. And to me, it just sounds like kind of like a cash grab, like they just kind of got back together to do an album, and it's not inspiring, and that's Trial by Fire. I mean, just look at the back, right? You got all the guys looking one way, Perry looking the other way. Do they look like they even want to be in the same photo shoot together? They don't, and they probably weren't, you know. And that's how the album feels to me. I mean, there's a couple of good tracks here. Message of Love is a really good song, but of course, that's the first song on the album, and the rest of none of it's as good as that. There's too many ballads, and it's just, you know, at a time where this was the '90s, there was some good underground music happening at the time, but a lot of the mainstreamy stuff was just not very good, and I just don't find this album all that good. It's easily my least favorite album. Yeah, it's a weird cover. I mean, the cover art is cool, but it's just like, what does it all mean, right?
Yeah, but I mean, this was a comeback album, okay?
Yeah.
And I know that we've got like the cryptic thing here. Do you know that look, if you look closely, everybody, it's a Journey album.
Yeah.
Give it a chance. You know, it's like, and back in the day, this would be a flick through the rack CD. You just look at it and go, the hell's that? And keep going, would you not?
There's no logo on it, right? I mean, it's, you know, it's here on the CD, but it's, you know.
Not that they've got a logo. They don't have a logo. There's another bugbear of mine.
Well, I mean, they had one. Sort of, not really.
Not really. It changes from album to album. They've had some cool. I mean, it's like, it struck me when
this should have been their logo going forward, right there.
You look at Raised on Reed. This is cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I like this nice font and all this kind of, you know, it's like the front of a guitar thing, but it's got that classic radio look. It just goes, yeah, Journey.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. So I don't know. So that's my bottom one. You know, I thought about Generations, and then I listened to it, and I was like, I kind of like this album. And there were a couple others, and, you know, so I thought about Raised on Radio, but then I went and listened to it again, and I was like, man, the hits are spectacular on that album, even though I find like some of the deep cuts not all that enticing. So I was like, I can't pick that because I love the hits way too much on that album. I couldn't pick any of the first couple, and I thought about Evolution, but then I'm like, there's some great stuff on there. And I really like most of all the Arnell albums. So what was the easiest one to pick? Well, I went with Freedom, the most recent one. I really like this album. No, I like it, right? But it's so new that I don't know if I could put any of the other ones down at the bottom. And this was just like the fall guy. This was like by default. So for everybody watching, I mean, I've reviewed it here on the channel. I like this album. Is it my favorite of the Arnell era? No. It's easily my least favorite of the Arnell era, but I still think it's really strong. Again, it's a lot of material on here. It's a long album. A lot of people bitch about the production. I don't think the production's all that bad. I'm kind of annoyed that they unleashed this new album with the new lineup, and then like you blinked and most of the new lineup was already gone from the band. I mean, I hate when that shit happens, and I hate like everything that's going on with them right now. But there's lots of good material on here. I don't love it all, but I would say 75% of this is really good. I had to pick something. So I don't really like this. I actually do like this, but something has to go down at the bottom. So that's going to be my choice. I may change my mind too much from now, but I don't know. For now, that's where it's going to sit. I like it though. So for anybody who hasn't listened to the new Journey, just because I picked it on one of my bottom two, don't let that stop you from listening to it. It's actually a pretty damn good album. So I made up for myself there. See. All right, wild card time.
Well,
wild
card time, or cheat time, as
yes.
I kind of like to call it. No, I was gonna. Well, I do want to mention Journey's greatest hits live, because really, can you tell who it is yet? Can you tell? It's one of those, isn't it? It's there, Journey's there. There it says Journey on the side. No, well, anyway, it just. I mean, I'm not going to mention it, but it is one of. I don't know about you, but I like to incorporate live albums into my everyday life, and occasionally I'll say something to somebody, and then I'll go, "Do you know what I'm talking about, Houston?" As if I was Steve Perry, and nobody ever gets it. You not do that? You know,
I mean, I'd probably stall it, scream for me wherever I happen to be, but there you go.
do you never walk around and go, the golden fingers of Neil Shaw? No, I do that all. Nobody ever texts me up. I don't know. I do not know any other Journey fans that are not sat in these squares right now. However, I genuinely would like to pick Time, the box set. Do you remember when box sets were a thing?
Yeah.
And you had to save up, and like if Mrs. Simon really loved you, she'd buy you a box set.
Yep.
Yeah, and you think, oh yeah, I've got the skinned one, and I've got the kids one. Yeah, I got it. This one's you see, this contains all the early period Journey your Uncle Simon really needs. And I was listening to it yesterday, as you know, Stephen, and
Yes.
thoroughly enjoyed it. Thoroughly, it's not what I would choose to listen to, but thoroughly. I mean, great pictures. Look at the hair, kids. Look at
that afro, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You know it makes sense. Like a bunch of walking microphones. Absolutely fantastic. But it's a really good booklet. It's good to go back and read the liner notes. For instance, Jonathan Kane said in what was this, something like 1992. Kane was disconsolate. We didn't want to leave this great big beautiful Harley Davidson we had customized sitting in the garage. Neil and I thought we could ride it, but we knew who had the keys. Turned out to be bollocks, didn't it? Because they did turn it, they did ride it, and they're still riding it, and they're probably going to ride it forever, even though they loathe each other with a passion.
I was just wondering, was it his mum that had the keys? Oh, please, mum.
Please. Took him up, hidden them so he couldn't go out. Yeah.
You're not going out. You're not taking the car tonight.
Nope, no Harley for you. But there's some unreleased tracks. There's the hits. It's a very good summation of their career up and prior till Trial by Fire, and hey, absolute winner. Thoroughly recommend it. I'm sure it's out of print. But I would really like to go to bat for Freedom. I really like this. Since I changed my jobs and I no longer write for the webzine because I'm lazy. And occasionally I get to listen to stuff that I actually choose to listen to. And this is what I've chosen to listen to over the past few months. I've really immersed myself deeply in it. I really like it because it got some shitty reviews. Not from you, Peter. You quite liked it. But it got some shitty, this is the worst production of all time style reviews, didn't it? And it's really good. It's really good. Admittedly, they do the there's only 3 of us in the band shot again. Because I know when you reviewed it and you opened it up, there's a picture of Narada Michael Walden, isn't there? Well, there sure as shit isn't in this. Right, he's not there. But there's some really good songs, and like you said in your review, Pete, I actually really like the way it starts off, and then becomes like progressively kind of like heavier towards the end, and rocks a little bit more. But the first side's brilliant, really good. No, he's not. No. And what are we looking like now, fellas? Are we Run DMC or what? What's going on there?
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Yep.
Does he not call him a brother or something like that in that bit as well? It said in the booklet that my brother, and you're like, lasted long.
Oh, you're not in the band anymore, are you? You've gone. Yeah.
Hey,
Randy, where are you going? Randy, come back. No. Yeah. But it's a really strong record, I think. And this is an actual record, kids, for those of you that remember those. Really strong. Some really good songs. The only thing is, I don't like, and many people do, Let It Rain. There's something on every Journey album that's a little bit atonal and a little bit down tuned. And I don't like most of them, and I really don't like Let It Rain on this. Just no. All the rest of it, really enjoy it. I like the singing. I like the way that Narada Michael Jackson, wrong one, Narada Michael Walden, seriously thinks he's in Slayer at times, and he's just bashing the crap out of those.
Oh yeah, he's a great drummer.
Well, he is insanely good. And do you know what? I don't think, even if they sat down and said, we're going to make a really shit record, I don't think they could. Especially Neil Sean. What I've been meaning to say about Neil Sean all the time is I probably don't want him to be my friend because weird. But what he does better than any guitarist that I'm aware of is he brings the song home. Yeah, we've done the verse, we've done the bridge, we've done the chorus. Neil, take us home. He does that so well. Nowhere better than on the name of the songs completely disappeared. Looks for the hits. Who's Crying Now? That's just like, for me, one of the greatest solos of all time. And he does that time and time again. And when he's not overplayed, and I'm looking at you, Eclipse, he's absolutely sensational. And so I would urge people to go and give it a try, because not very many people did.
No,
did they?
It's well worth a listen, or two or three.
Yeah, those are my only choices. All three of them. You know what I'm talking about, Stephen?
I do, because I'm not much better. Let's be honest. Okay, because I find that this is actually a catalogue that is littered with wildcards, realistically, because of the history of the band. Albums like this are sneered at. I really like Arrival. I think this is a really good album, but because it's got the wrong singer, and officially out of the three of them, 4 or 5, however you want to put that, but the latter day singers, Perry onwards, it's got the wrong singer. I really like Arrival. It's really good, but it's not my wild card, because that's not how we do this, is it, really? I have been hard on a few shows, not even necessarily when we've been talking about Journey, on the Arno years. More in the live arena, and I know, Pete, that you've got a lot of affection for what they're doing now. Performance-wise, they're great. It just seems to lack a little bit for me when I've seen them 3 times with Arnold. I haven't loved any of them. I haven't disliked any of them either. But I tell you, I'm going to go back for this album too. This is the one that he's on that has made me kind of go, hold on a minute, there's more going on here. Yes, it's too long. And that was something that I actually chuckled about when I did this bit, because from Trial by Fire, my thoughts are, why did they need to put those extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs on them? We don't need 16 tracks or 15 tracks. And then I laughed, because I found it with things like this. Well, as you can tell from the thickness of the CD case, I went and bought the Japanese version because it's got a bonus track. Or I bought the one that's got, the UK bonus version. So some of these albums are far too long because I chose the long version. but anyway, this one does have 15 tracks on it. However, when you're going to end with something like Beautiful As You Are, which is over 7 minutes long,
a good one.
I'm not going to argue too much, because it's really, really good. And yeah, I really do. I like the journey of the album, the hey, boom, ching, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I really do. I think it's very strong. I've listened to it more than the other Arnold albums, and it's made me go back and appreciate them a little bit more than I did too. And I liked them to start with. I also want to give a quick mention to, yes, this oddity more than anything else. This is Dream After Dream. This is the soundtrack album that they did right in the middle of the mega AOR era that suddenly was harking back to what they did in the first 3 albums, but not really. That's where it kind of comes from. That's its basis, but it is a soundtrack album. It's much more subtle. There's more piano in here. There's a couple of vocal tracks. It's just an oddity, but it does the job really well. And I actually prefer this over any of the first 3 albums, strangely enough. It's never going to be one of my favourites. I don't play it often, but when I do, I kind of go, yeah, there was a brief. They met the brief. And I quite like that when a band that have kind of set their stall out for this is what we do can actually say, well, actually, we can do that as well. And I also like the fact that even with this tie-in with the film and various things, they've managed to get this in play. Look at this. Yeah, there's no such thing as a logo in this band, but here's the wings on the scarab. They're here. This is actually, I think, the first time they appear. It's almost like they look back at this and went, oh, well, hold on a minute. We can adapt to these things and put them all together, and off we go. But there we are. But Simon has officially stole my thunder, because he did mention and show a picture on Twitter of his fantastic, hold up, Time Cubed. Well, you have got the beautiful version, Simon. I have got the found at a car boot sale for £1 version. Is what I've got. It is dirty, okay? It is broken. It is great. It's what it is. It's even got some coffee stains. And when I open the back, it'll fall apart, so let's not do that, okay? But when I open the front, I've got a smaller booklet. Okay, I don't have this fancy big fold-out thing. And the liner notes in this one are not quite so good. And the reason for that is because they're in Japanese. So I've got a great story here that I'm sure I would thoroughly enjoy, other than the fact that I've never been able to read it. And yet it has been reissued since. I don't know if it is still in print, but I can. And yes, Simon.
Does it have a track 5?
Do you know it's got 3 track 5s?
You must have been in your element.
I love it. This is why it's my favourite ever album. So yeah, this is time cubed, and I like lots of things about this. Okay, I like it because it's got the hits. Okay, because this was almost my wild card. Because man, oh man, if you like the hits, this album knocks it out the park. You just cannot argue with it. It's phenomenal. Okay, but this too has got the hits, and yes, some of them are live and various things like that. But up until this point, okay, up until 1992. It's got every single member of the band that had ever been in Journey, whether they'd been on an album or whether they hadn't. We had stuff from before the first album came out. We've got Robert Fleischman on here. We've got soundtrack songs on here. We've got demos on here. And the stuff that isn't anywhere else is really good. And that's the key for me, is that this is something that was put together with love and care when the band really didn't exist. Whoever sat down and curated all this gave a damn. And I like that. I love a proper kind of career overview when it felt like it was finished at this stage, that says, you know what? What fans want is they want some great rarities. They want to understand the absolute start, middle, and finish of where it all went. And this does all of that. And it even the demos that are on the last disc were things that were never quite fleshed out for an album that never happened. It's really good, and I absolutely love it because I like the concept behind it. However, it also has 3 discs worth of fantastic music. And I am going to replace this utterly battered, dirty thing with the fancy version that Simon's got, because it was reissued and you can pick it up for a decent price. I think the last time I looked, it was about £12, something like that. So yeah, that is my real wild card. This is a catalogue filled with them. For a band that only released 16 albums, something like that, across a ginormous length of time, admittedly with 2 almost 10-year breaks from releasing albums, so which kind of slows you down a little bit. Oh, so, yeah. This is great. I play it a lot.
I was actually given that as a gift when it first came out, and at the time I didn't have like a lot of the early stuff, and I was like, I remember for a couple of years, I'm like, I have everything I ever need from Journey now, right? Yeah, then I went and got everything they did, and then I went up selling the box because I'm like, I don't really know if I need what's left on here anymore, so I got rid of it. I probably should have held on to it. Yeah.
I mean, it's For You with Robert Fleischman on it. I think that's a great song. It's more Boston than it is Journey. It shows really interesting things. Simon mentioned Steve Perry's Love of Sam Cooke. You've got a cover of Good Times on here that's really, really good. You've got soundtrack stuff like the thing they did for Tron, which I think was Solutions.
Well, that's what I would like. I would like all the oddities that are on that on one CD. All the other shit I don't need because I already have, right? So,
but Pete, you had them. Anyway,
I know, and I got rid of it. What can I tell you? It's, that was like one of my space saving decisions, right? It's like I have all 15 Journey CDs. What am I still carrying this around for? At least I think I sold it. You know what? It's probably still sitting in my closet here for all I know. I'm almost positive I sold it, but who knows? I'll have to look. So anyway, I wanted to remark on Neil Schon for a second because I'm going to talk about him with my wild card. I happen to think Simon hit the nail on the head. He really plays for the song, and he is a great closer. He's like the hitman for the mob, right? Who comes in and does exactly what needs to do and then gets away and nobody sees him. That's Neil Schon. He comes in and throws in these little widdlies at the end of these great songs, and he doesn't overplay, but it's but you walk away from it like, wow, that little lick right there, that quick little 2-bar solo, that was pretty special. His style is so identifiable. When it's Neil Schon, because nobody sounds like him. He is a fast technical player, but man, is he melodic. He can play the really slow emotional stuff. He can burn and shred with the best of them, but nobody sounds like him. Absolutely nobody. Yeah, he's batshit nuts. And I mean, that's been pretty obvious over the last, like 15, 20 years or so. But I don't care. The guy can play. And it's just so funny. You showed those pictures of him with the mustache and the big afro. Look at him today and look at that. It's like not even the same guy. I mean, it doesn't even look like that anymore, obviously. But yeah, but he's so good. He's so good. So the reason why I go through all that is because my wild card is Eclipse. I love Eclipse. To me, this is their heaviest album. This is blistering hard rock. It's like they put this out and they were like, who gives a fuck if nobody wants to buy this? There's no hit singles on here. We don't care. We're going to do a new album and we're going to rock out. But you know what? There is some really memorable stuff on here. City of Hope is a terrific song. Chain of Love is so memorable. Tantra should have been a hit ballad for them. Tantra, I mean, that's one of my favorite Arnel Pineda vocal performances. Edge of the Moment is great. Resonate is so rocking. Ritual, Human Feel, Anything is Possible is also really feel good, uplifting. But there's tons of guitar solos on here. There's riffs everywhere. I get it for some people. I remember a lot of people when they first heard this, they were like, oh my God, it's unrelenting. It's just more guitar that I want to hear than I want to hear on a Journey album. I get all that. But to me, that's what I like about it. And I think that this was just criminally ignored. And I think if you go back and you listen to this with a fresh set of ears, it's actually one of Journey's biggest rockin' albums, and it's very memorable and catchy at the same time. So Eclipse is my pick for wild card.
It's worth also mentioning when you're lauding Neil Schon, his guitar tone. His tone's phenomenal. And it's so unique. Yeah. You could hear a couple of notes of Neil Schon playing and you immediately know exactly who it is, because the tone, it sounds like nobody else.
Nobody else. And even live, it's so good live. His tone. Yeah. You could go to a venue where it just sounds like shit, but as soon as he starts playing, you're like, oh, there it is, right? Maybe you don't hear Arnel. Maybe the bass is, in a sea of mud or whatever. The keys you can't really hear, but you can always hear Neil. Crystal clear in the mix, always. Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely.
Great. And it's weird.
That's because he sabotaged the rest of the band.
What's that?
Because he sabotaged the rest of the band.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that could be, Simon. That could be. It's all about me, guys. It's all about me. Too
possibly.
We love him. We love him. Anyway, so there you have it. Favorite, least favorite for Journey. So, of course, you know how it goes down in the comments below. Let us know your two favorites, your two least favorites, and a wild card. And we were really different on this. Well, for the most part. I mean, you both had Raised on Radio. I think I was probably the most different out of everybody, but I picked Freedom in my bottom two, even though I really like it. It was your wild cards. Yeah, it's a really good catalog. This was kind of hard because there really aren't, to me, any real stinker albums. I mean, Trial by Fire for me is as close as you're going to get, but there's still enough to like on that album, I think. But yeah, great band. All right, Steven, you want to give everybody a little sneak preview into next episode?
Oh, crikey. Can I remember what we're doing in the next episode? Probably not is the honest answer to that. Okay, so we are back on the AOR melodic rock. No, we're not. I'm talking rubbish. I mean, it doesn't happen often. We are writing songs on a classic album is what we're doing.
That's your deck of cards there, my friend.
Yes, we are doing Motorhead. And yes, same again, as we say quite often, is it their best album? For some, it may well be. I think as a group, when we discussed this quite recently, we all kind of agreed that it wasn't our own personal favourites. However, it's difficult to argue that Ace of Spades is not the album that most people will know. It's difficult to argue that it's not the album that's probably held up in the mainstream above everything else. And therefore, we have deemed it the classic of the catalogue. We did have a couple of other options, but yes, we'll be ranking the songs on Ace of Spades by Motorhead next time. And then we'll do some melodic rock, and I will look less stupid. Probably not. Probably look equally stupid, but that's okay. That's why they asked me on.
There you go. So we've had a lot of people ask for us to do a Motorhead themed show, so that'll be coming up in 2 weeks. So stay tuned for that, and visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together. all the damn time. Stay tuned. Tomorrow we've got Ranking the Albums coming up. Chris Canzaneri from Hudson Valley Squares and I will be ranking the catalog of Baroness. Very cool U.S. stoner rock band. So tune into that tomorrow. And then we'll see you all during the week for more stuff. So for Simon Bray and Steven Reid, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy Saturday, everybody. And we'll see you here soon on the UK Connection. Take care.